Well, number one, fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction more than it is a drug. I mean, the people in your audience have suffered terrible losses, and we're not doing enough about it. So, Schedule 1 is the highest level you can put a drug on in terms of punishment. Fentanyl is due to come off that schedule at the end of the year. That's ridiculous. So, we're going to keep it on Schedule 1, but I want to do more than that. The drug cartels that are sending this poison into our country need to be considered terrorist organizations. The law enforcement model is not working. This is not working. So we need to take a different approach. Let's call these drug cartels terrorists because they're terrorizing America and go after them with a different model.
What does that model look like to you? Ann Milgram from the DA was talking about saying that's what they're doing, except not just trying to chop the head off like with El Chapo, put him in prison because now his son's running it, but go after the whole networks, their lawyers, their businesses, their phony corporations.
Well, what they're doing is not working because there are 14,700 pounds of fentanyl seized in 2022. We're at over 12,000 already in 4 months of the 2023 fiscal year. So what would I do? Foreign terrorist organization designation to drug cartels allows us to have extraterritorial jurisdiction to go after them more aggressively. What did Bill Clinton do when it came to the Colombia cocaine problem? He sent the U.S. military to the country of Colombia to actually get involved in eradicating the cocaine dealers in Colombia to stop the flow in the United States. So what would I propose? That we make drug cartels foreign terrorist organizations and we use military force, if necessary, to stop their poisoning of America, blow their labs up.
In terms of actually drugs coming in, it seems like they're coming in through the border checkpoints, particularly that's where they're being seized most. Commercial vehicles, a lot of Americans actually even bringing them in for the drug cartels, drones, any possible way, DHL, FedEx. How do you stop that? I mean, even if you kill a lot of cartel leaders or, seize them, it seems like there's an endless supply of these cartels.
Well, the cost of doing business when it comes to fentanyl needs to go up. We need stiffer punishments. FTO designation would allow us to put these people in jail longer and allow us to go after the networks all over the world. But if you blow up a couple of these labs and kill the drug dealers, they'd have a hard time getting somebody else to come in and open up the new lab. So what did Clinton do? He sent the American military as advisors to help the Colombia military to get on the ground, to hit it at its source. You're never going to win this game at the border. You need to tell Mexico you're harboring drug cartels, you're giving them safe havens, they're terrorizing Americans. They kidnapped 4 Americans, 3 of them from South Carolina, killed 2 of them today. Enough is enough. So let's use every tool in the toolbox to go after them at their source.
Anything to do on China and the precursor chemicals? Because China's now not cooperating.
Absolutely. So let's look at it this way. What's the likelihood that the Communist Chinese Party is unaware of the fact that they have fentanyl precursor drug factories in China and they don't know it? 0. So let's get tough on Mexico. Let's start using the military like we did in Colombia regarding fentanyl. Start blowing up some of these labs and putting these people in jail longer and tell China that you are part of the problem and hold them accountable and start looking at these organizations in China as foreign terrorist organizations. Let's up the game against everybody involved in the fentanyl business from China to Mexico and make the cost of doing business higher.
We've got some questions from people in the room tonight. First is Fiona Farine. Her only son, Cameron, died in his bedroom of fentanyl poisoning in March of 2018 after taking a pill he thought was OxyContin. Fiona, what's your question for the senator?
Good evening, Senator Graham. How do we begin national education as early as possible in all schools and with messaging, and encourage medical providers to discuss it with young patients and their parents during wellness checks?
Count me in for making this, using the Department of Education to provide information to local schools from whatever age level is appropriate to let kids know, do not take a pill from a stranger. Because, the people in the audience have lost loved ones who were basically tricked. They were given A and it wound up having fentanyl in it and they're dead. You know, young people experiment. That's just part of life. These drug cartels are really terrorists. So count me in on educating young people as to what not to do. Count me in on beefing up border security. But the one thing I'm trying to stress to the audience tonight, that's not enough. We got to go after them where they live and where they reside in Mexico. Urge the Mexican government to be a better partner. And if they won't be a better partner, start taking matters into our own hands.
Senator, I want to introduce you to Nora Madonnik. Her son Benjamin died of fentanyl poisoning in May of 2020. He was 28 years old. Nora, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you for being here. What's your question for the senator?
He was my only child. Senator, there are only two categories of parents of young adults in this country right now. One, like me, is devastated. And don't be fooled by how we appear. We go to bed every night hoping we won't wake up in the morning. The other is terrified they will become like me. I support making the illicit fentanyl ban permanent to empower our enforcement community, but we need national outreach on a scale we have not seen before, with funding and direction for the states to take action if we are to get ahead of this thing. What is being done stateside?
You know, in my state, the governor is trying to up our game. We had a seizure in Rock Hill, South Carolina, of enough fentanyl to kill everybody in South Carolina. So to everybody in the audience, we're letting you down. I mean, we talk about this all night. Our laws are not working. The law enforcement model is not working. The interdiction at the border is not working. Let's try something new. Count me in for education, more Narcan, finding out, treating people quicker, trying to get people not to take the bait of getting a pill that you shouldn't take, learn from the mistakes that have been made. But I can't stress enough, we're not going to solve this problem until the cost of poisoning Americans goes up, that the fentanyl drug dealers will go in a different line of business if they start getting killed and go to jail.
Senator Graham, this is a question from Dita Bragava. She's lost her son. Her son died, Alec, from fentanyl poisoning July 13th, 2018. It was on his 26th birthday. Dita, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Senator Graham, anyone who has lost someone they know to overdose would turn back time to provide a safe place for their loved one to take their drug and save their life. Potentially 100,000 precious lives saved per year, and an opportunity to educate about treatment and recovery provided, especially with the scourge of dangerous and lethal fentanyl. And all the data from Europe, Canada, and a couple of facilities in the US show that safe injection facilities work, prevent people from dying, and give them an opportunity to learn that recovery is real. Senator Graham, would you support legalizing and funding safe injection facilities to save precious lives?
I really don't understand the question, because we're not talking about injections here. We're talking about people taking a pill thinking it was Percocet and wound up being fentanyl. But the bottom line is, what
But they
do
could
I
take
support?
the pill in the safe injection facility. The whole point is that they would not die if they were doing it safely, where people could help them with Narcan and watch over them, and it would give them the opportunity to eventually. My son died because nobody was there to help him. He had Narcan all around him, and nobody knew he was overdosing. But if he knew there was a safe place to take his drug of choice, he would be alive today, because he wanted nothing more than to be on a path of recovery and enjoy the love of his friends and his family.
To be honest with you, ma'am, no, I don't think that's a very good idea at all. I don't think there is a safe place to do this.
It's too bad, Senator, because 100,000 people is a lot of people in our country that could be alive if they were given the safe place to
I don't think
save their
that's the
life.
answer.
Well, thank you for your question. Appreciate it.